How would they ask a minister, so how much is the coastal road? And then you're dancing around, going to say, no, next kilometer is different from next kilometer. Yeah, what is the average cost?
Somebody showed me what my brother and friend, Governor Makinde of Oyo State said. I don't want to join issues with him, but I think he's an engineer. I think he's an electrician. Oh, sorry, they call it elect. Elect. This road construction, elect, no reach there. I'm a senior in governance, and I'm a senior in engineering practice.
Social media has been awash with reactions after the Minister of Works, David UMAHI, fired back at Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde over criticism of the controversial Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project. Makinde had questioned the true cost per kilometer of the highway during a stakeholders consultative and engagement meeting last Thursday, accusing UMAHI of dancing around the cost. The minister, in response, while speaking during an inspection of the Kefi section of the Abuja-Mararaba Kefi Road, refuted Makinde's comments, stating that the governor misunderstood the nuanced details of road cost evaluation, insisting the highway should not be reduced to political soundbites. He then pointedly referred to Makinde as an electrician. Let's take a look.
It was awarded for 10 billion naira, 65 kilometers at that particular time. It's a very simple translation. 65 divided by 10 billion, that's something like 153 million a kilometer. How would they ask a minister, so how much is the coastal road? And then you're dancing around, going to say, no, next kilometer is different from next kilometer. Yeah, what is the average cost? When we did Oyo to, it said it was about 9.9, almost 10 billion as well, but this time around 34 or 35 kilometers. Average cost 238 million per kilometer. When we did Oyo, it's saying to Ogbomoso, 76 kilometers, was about 43 billion. Average cost almost 500 and something, maybe 500 million per kilometer. And we have two bridges, one over Ogun River and then one at Ogbomoso end. So it's nothing, and there's nothing in.
I heard, somebody showed me what my brother and friend, Governor Makinde of Oyo State said. I don't want to join issues with him, but I think he's an engineer. I think he's an electrician.
You get it?
Oh, sorry, they call it elect. Elect. This road construction, elect, no reach there. I'm a senior in governance, and I'm a senior in engineering practice. And so anything he doesn't understand, he should call me and ask. And I will not join issue because I have respect for our governors. I have respect for him as my friend and brother. But he should withdraw the word that I'm dancing around. I never dance around. And if he insists, he should come for debate. That is very important. He should come for debate, and we can this thing, So there is no ambiguity in cost per kilometer, but I'm teaching them that cost per kilometer could be divided into estimated cost, which has elements of variance, and then average cost, which is definitive. That is what it is.
That was the minister there. He maintained that calculating average costs for a project of the Lagos-Calabar Highway's magnitude was impossible, reminding Nigerians that he remains an authority in the field of engineering. Costs per kilometer. Rufy, you started that conversation. Cost per kilometer. I didn't even understand what he meant by elect. Have you heard that before? Elect. Let me take some
electrical
reaction.
engineering.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah,
elect. All right, let's take some tweets. I mean, this story has been viral. This is from someone on X who wrote, "I love Engineer Dave UMAHI. Engineering is a broad field of different expertise, no doubt. Engineer Seyi Makinde was only trying to spite him since they are both engineers. However, a civil construction engineer is different from an electrical engineer or a petroleum engineer." Then another ex-user wrote, "But this is exactly why Nigeria can't move forward. Every disagreement turns into a CV context." Makinde raised a question on cost transparency. UMAHI replied with credentials. "Sir, this isn't WAEC verification. It's public accountability. The road isn't a personal project. It's taxpayers' money. Being a civil engineer doesn't exempt you from scrutiny. Even pilots get questioned before takeoff." Let me come to you, our favorite Naija wife. I will leave Rufai out for a moment on this subject matter. But you saw the minister there, of course, reiterating the point that you cannot calculate a figure. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that given the duration of this conversation, it has stretched out longer than necessary, because at this point we would have wanted to start to see more numbers being crunched. I don't think it's fair for accountability, for the spirit of transparency, for us to continue to focus on the trivialities around the conversation, because if we are to just focus on the core of this conversation, there are questions that are being asked that need to be answered. It doesn't matter whether those questions are answered by an engineer or whether they are answered by a lecturer or a professor. At the end of the day, we are aware that he is a minister and he works with an entire ministry beneath him, and there are several people that do the work behind the scenes. So if he didn't have the numbers initially, by now we would have wanted to have seen some sort of a broader conversation around educating people, because the fact that, he came on this platform and he did say, "Oh, let me educate you. This is how it's supposed to be," and so forth. It's important for us to educate the public. I, for one, am not an engineer, but I would love to know how it's calculated and how it translates into taxpayers' money. What is the budget? Where are we with that budget? He's spoken about, yes, there's an estimated figure, and then of course there's the delivered figure. We understand all of that, but it's just about how we bring this information together and communicate it to the public without personalizing issues, without reducing these issues to, what feels like personal battles. That's not the issue here. So I think for me, we just need to continue with the spirit of accountability and transparency. And this is the impunity, unfortunately, that continues to fester around us. Some people say that maybe what's holding us back is our beloved African culture. Because in African culture, you're not to question your elders, you're not to question people in positions of authority. There are a number of things that are considered a taboo. However, as much as we love and value our African culture, it's also important for us to now start having a conversation around where we are in a democracy. And the fact that democracy, the higher up you are in the food chain, the more of a servant you are to the people, and the more people have the right, authority, and access to you to get answers. This back and forth, I think is still highly unproductive. I understand that he has come out with some figures, but again, I don't think it's about holding press conferences and delivering figures. Let's see some beautiful graphic artwork.
What were the figures that you saw? I think I saw something about 4 billion per kilometer, something like that.
There were a lot of calculations. I know we were doing the calculations in studio, and there was 28 billion. There were a number of different figures. So I don't want to churn out figures that don't add up to, because you would have had to calculate them. But I think whatever it is, it's not something that we should be crunching with our calculators. He mentioned in the interview when he was here on the morning show that there is a website that they are unveiling that should also have information and so forth. That website should also provide information, up-to-date information, cost. This is what we have spent thus far on so many kilometers from this place to that place. XYZ, that is what we call transparency and accountability.
Fantastic.
All right, to me, I still believe that if UMAHI has has given a fair response to Rufai when he asked cost per kilometer. You recall that this interview was not just once, it has happened and then reoccur again. Yes, Umahi was on Arise TV, and then Rufai, while making an inquiry, trying for clarifications and trying to, you understand, make for transparency's sake, was not asking Umahi what is the cost per kilometer on this project. Of course, we all know the amount on this project is a very, very huge amount. Now, I want to know the cost per kilometer, considering how much that has been put in place, and again, the level of work that has been done. Now, how much have you spent so far, and then what is the cost per kilometer? How did you cost this thing? The question was really not out of place, because a lot of persons has also upheld what Rufai questions to Omai, that for transparency's sake and for accountability, that cost per kilometer is not a very wrong question to ask. So, but of course, Omai seems to be dancing around the questions. He never answered the questions directly, and just like that, and then again, it's now happened and passed. When Omai was presenting during inauguration or something, Omai made reference to Rufai questions. Then when he now came back again on Rufai's platform, Rufai now asked him that, I remember that you reported me to the president, but nevertheless, I'm still going to ask you the same questions that you dodged the last time. And then was now still asking him, give us the cost per kilometer, and that was what brought about all this Umai saga. And now, because Umai seems to be dancing around and not giving a straightforward answer, a lot of persons are now beginning to, analyze what Umai was supposed to have responded. That is how Seyi Makinde now came into the picture. I was not like, this is a very simple mathematics. You divide this, say this is the cost per kilometer. It's not going to, harm anybody. It's not going to affect anything. Just tell us the cost. Very straightforward questions. Just give us the cost per kilometer and make everybody rest. At this point, from this point to this point, you have explained it. So it now had to, aside, normal Nigerians that have been coming in, at a point, it turned to an argument between Rufai and Minister Omai. Of course, people are now looking at it like, a disrespect, that why will Rufai be asking such a question as if he has done something wrong. To an extent that people from Omai's side even had to come and start protesting, against Arise TV, that Rufai must come and apologize. It wasn't a small matter, you know. Now, at this point, Seyi Makinde, people who has voice now have to start lending their voice, that this is a very simple thing, that this is what minister just have to do instead of dancing around the bush. And that is why Umai has actually come out to respond to Seyi Makinde. I think at this point, he was not able to give a little cost per kilometer that everybody was expecting. To me, I felt that if he had done this long ago, all this argument and all this thing perhaps would not have escalated. Anyway, that's my thoughts.